I think that that is, in particular, a symbol. I do think that there's a reason behind that. My feel on it is it's some kind of a portal. I think there are portals here. And I think it was utilized. I've heard about the sacrifice and those kind of things, and I absolutely think that it was used for that, to draw something here. And the upside down cross just specifically states that to me.
Possibly, maybe there was some sort of, spirit that led him to do that. Who knows? I think it's possibly something to draw spirits in. I do. It's very unusual. The architecture is, very, very different. And, it could be a portal.
I think we in this modern age are prefabricated, disposable society. Let's take it back 100, 200 years. Those people were ingrained in their mastery of their crafts and their symbolisms, especially Masonics and craftsmen. I think that it was intentional in some ways. That why would you build a house in that shape when you can look at architecture from all over the country, especially in that time period, and you don't really find that. So it had to be intentional, and if it's intentional, then why? So there had to be a why behind it. And like if you've talked to Bear about Octagon Hall, an octagon will contain spiritual energy, and that's why the Masonics use that. The weep, I do believe the cross shape, and then how the four corners of those on the inside, it had to be gone into with intent, and now we're seeing the intent played out over all these years, that even if the initial owner had gone on, its legacy will continue on. One thing I think is at least good about the situation is that at least it's contained in the house. To my knowledge, I haven't heard of the surrounding area and the spreading of it, because mass possessions are growing, especially in South America and places like that, but I don't see evidence of that there. So I think it's that ground, that house, that was instituted for this darkness.
Another interesting aspect that was one of the contributing factors of me buying this house is the shape it was built in. The house from above, it's almost a perfect shaped cross, which is really kind of bizarre. There are other houses out there that have a similar shape, but not to the exactness of this house. Also, things that are built within this house are very bizarre. It had 4 entrances and exits around the corners of the cross, and above each door there is a perfect triangle that was built above each door, and it was concealed with a false ceiling. Now, when Brenda bought the house, they were looking for the staircase that was supposed to be in the house that's in the original floor plans, and discovered the false ceiling. They dug out the false ceiling, and it's just very bizarre. I had an insurance friend of mine come in and look at it and said he's never seen anything like it in his 40 plus years of, working in the insurance industry. So that's pretty compelling. Later on, a 32nd degree Mason came into the house as an investigator and saw numerous Masonic symbols all over the house, including the triangles above each door, and the door frames. There are Masonic symbols as well.
I don't know why. Did he do it to bring in spirits? Did something lead him to do this? I don't know. I can't answer that.
That is a mystery. That is the mystery of all. Why? Why did he do that? And, the whole cross unique. And I think that he was involved, if we go back and look, I think you'll find that he was involved with Masons. The Masons have some very strange cultures and beliefs, and you can't all put it towards Masons, but there are some things that lead that way. The cross, the hexagon, all of those, or the octagon, I should say, mean something. Sacred geometry. And so it's very, very interesting. So, yes, the house is the way that it is. It's a very hot location.
Well, at that time, especially Indiana, especially places we've been to, like around Attica, that's when spiritualism was pretty well in full force. And I believe that has a lot to do with it. Not only spiritualism, but cults. You have cults in this part. They're all intertwined. They all seem to have that same common thread.
I think it's really a weird reference, and I never noticed it, never noticed it in just driving by, but in looking at it, it is a concern. Like, why was it built like that? And looking at it, I don't think it was like a later addition. I think it was like all one time built.
I think, yes, in that we look today is we have cell phones and internet and connections, and the occult and spiritual things are novelties on TV for most people, and it's a job for me because I deal with the cases for the church. It's sent wherever. Take back 130 years, and there was none of that. A spiritualism movement that came later. So this had to be an affront to what was going on, because Christianity was heavy in that area, and you have the natives that had their own religion. But this is a very specific way to do something. And it didn't have a lot of the outside inferences like we do now.
I did put a compass on the floor, and the house faces directly east, which would mean it was an upside down cross.
Well, yeah.
In that direction.
Aerial view too. It's upside down cross.
What intrigued me about this house was it being in the shape of a upside down cross. The house being in the shape of an upside down cross is kind of in the eye of the beholder. A lot of people say that it's not, but if you look at it from the front door perspective, then it is in the shape of an upside down cross.
I believe he was probably a mason, and he had a mason build it for him, and we know that, whatever your spiritual belief system is, a lot of people have crosses hanging in their house and everything else. And we know the Masons are directly linked to the Knights Templar, and they use crosses and whatnot. So this may have been some sort of secret Masonic meeting place. We don't know. However, it might have just been as simple as he wanted his house built like that, and with Masonic symbology in it. But some of the neighbors, as the old lady said, that he was kind of different and a little bit out there, and he was a postman or a mailman or whatever. And if that be the case, he built this house specifically to funnel energy into it, because when you stand in the center of the cross and all the energy flows into that center, many people, including myself, have stood there, and you get disoriented, you get dizzy, you feel your equilibrium's off. So is that the case? Not sure. Also, directly under that space in the center of the cross is that fire pit that the maintenance man saw, surrounded by rock and ash. So it all kind of ties in that there's some kind of ritualistic stuff going on here at some time during this house's life. We just don't know when.